about human resources. Human, that is you and me. Individuals on this globe, we are resources. For a nation, people are nation's greatest resources. Now, why we are called as resources? Because it is people with their demands and abilities that turn the things which are natural into resources. So human resource, you can call it as ultimate resource. If a human being or an individual is healthy, educated, motivated, all these people develop resources as per their requirements. And human resources, like any other resources, they are not equally distributed. It depends on the level of education, the age, the sex, and the numbers also keeps changing. If you see, everyone has something to say. This guy may say, my village has 1,000 people. He may say, there are only 30 children in my class. So there is a variety and unequal distribution over the entire globe. So the government of India has a ministry of HRD, Human Resource Development, and the ministry was created in 1985. The aim was to improve people's skill, and this shows how important people are for any country. We were talking about the distribution of people. See, the way in which people are spread across the earth is known as the pattern of population distribution. Pattern of population distribution. So if I take the globe and take only the 10% part, this is the 10% part. So 90% of the population lives in this 10% part of the world, of the globe. So that is why there are certain places where people generally want to live, somewhere they don't want. So if we take the world population by continents, then this yellow ones, they live in Asia. That is, most of the people live in Asia. They live in Europe. These people, they live in Africa, the violet ones. Then the blue ones in Central and South America. These ones in Northern America, and very less in Oceania. Oceania is what? Oceania is Australia, New Zealand, and the Pacific Island. So all these are called as Oceania. Some areas are very crowded, and somewhere the people are very less. The crowded areas are South and Southeast Asia, Europe, Northeastern North America, and very few people live in high latitude areas. The tropical desert, the high mountains, the area of equatorial forest. So this is, if we talk about the equator, so this area gets most of the sunlight, this gets less. So most of this region, and this region is covered by snow all the time. That is why, or ice. People, even if they want to, they can't live here. These are hostile conditions. And there are other places like the tropical deserts, high mountains. If the terrain is like this, nobody can live like here. But people would love to live in the plain areas. And if you talk about this north area, most of the people live here in the north rather than the south. So they live in north. Almost three-fourths of the world population live in two countries, or two continents, not countries, continents. First is Asia, and then we have Africa. So 3/4, that is around 75%. And 60% of the world's people, they stay in just 10 countries, So we'll see 10 most populous countries, and all of them have more than 100 million population. All these countries which we are just about to witness, they have more than 100 million people and they are the most populous city. First is China, then we, Indians, USA, Indonesia, Brazil, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Russia, Nigeria, and then Japan. All have more than 100 million. See, and we are more than 1,000 millions. Even China is. Then what is the density of population? The average density of India is 324 persons per square kilometer. What does that mean? This means population density. This is the number of people, that is number of people, there are people living in unit area of the earth surface, and this is normally expressed in terms of per square kilometer. As we said, the average density population of world is 45 persons per square kilometer. India is 324 per square kilometer. Central Asia has the highest density of population, then East and Southeast Asia. So if we have, say, 200 people in 5 kilometer square area, then 200 by 5, that is 5 4, so 20, 40 is the population density of that area. So there are certain factors also that affect distribution of population. There are certain geographical factors, that is the topography. People prefer to live in plain areas rather than living in mountains and plateaus. Why? Because in plain area they can have farming, manufacturing, service activities. For example, the Ganga plain is the most densely populated of the world. But if you see Andes, Alps, Himalayas, they are sparsely populated. Then we have climate. People usually avoid extreme climates. They don't want any very hot or very cold climate. Like Sahara Desert, polar regions of Russia, Canada, Antarctica. People generally don't live there, or there are people who are living there very less. Then comes the food. Why did I say food? Because it is soil. Because food comes from soil. So if you have a fertile soil that is suitable for agriculture, then fertile plains like Ganga, Brahmaputra in India, Huanghe, Changjiang, and the Nile in Egypt, these are densely populated. Then comes water. Water is very important. So people would like to live in the places where they have good supply, fresh water available. The river valleys of the world, they are densely populated rather than, if you see, compare it with the deserts. Then minerals are also very important. Area with mineral deposits, why they are more populated? Because diamond mines of South Africa and the discovery of oil in the Middle East, actually this led to settling of people in these areas, though the conditions of living may be, as I said, the climate is not very good, but still in this Middle East, but people still live because minerals are there. So minerals are the basis of the industry. So let me just summarize this, that for factors which affect distribution of population, the geographical factors are what? First is topography, then we have climate, then we have soil, then we have water, and then minerals. There are social and cultural and economic factors are also. What are the social factors? People want better housing, education, health facilities. So where they get this, these areas are densely populated. If you see Pune is the area where they get all these. Cultural also. Cultural means, take example of Varanasi or Jerusalem or Vatican City. These are important centers of religion or culture. That is why people tend to stay here. Then the other is economic. Economic is people, wherever they get employment, they would like to live there. Osaka in Japan, Mumbai in India, these are more populated, densely populated because they have the employment opportunities there. Then we have population change. Population change is what? This means the change in the number of population during a specific time. World population is not stable, and this is because change in the number of births and deaths. For an extremely long period of human history until 1800s, the world population grew steadily but slowly. Large number of babies were born, but they died early. And this was because there were no proper health facilities. Food was also not there, and farmers were not able to produce enough food so that they can suffice everyone. That is why the population was very low. But in 1820, world population reached 1 billion. Then 150 years later, in early 1970s, we became 3 billion. And this is called as population explosion. In 1999, less than 30 years later, now we are 6 billion. What is the main reason? Now people are having better food supplies. They are having medicines, deaths are reducing. But the births are still, they are fairly high. So births are usually measured using birth rate. That is the number of lives birth per 1,000 people. Death are measured in terms of death rate. Number of death per 1,000 people. Migration is also an important factor. It is the movement of people in and out of an area. So birth rate is number of birth per 1,000, and death rate is number of deaths per 1,000. So birth and death, these are the natural causes of population change. If you take the difference of the birth rate and the death rate, BR minus DR, this is called the natural growth rate. So this is how the population increase in the world is mainly due to rapid increase in the natural growth rate. If I can show you this world population growth, as we just talked about, now we are more than 8.525 million, and this is 2025 it is going to be. In 1999 it was 6 billion, that is 6,000 million. So this is how from till 1800 it was okay, but after that the graph just increased, and this graph is nothing but an exponential graph. It's not a linear graph, it's an exponential graph. So migration is, as we said, that migration is also another way by which population size changes. People may move within a country or between a country. So if you say this is India, then people who countries like the United States, this America and Australia, they have gained in number of this immigration or immigration. What is that? In migration or immigration? See, immigrants are, say, take the example of India. Those people who are leaving India, they are called immigrants. It starts with E. Those who are coming to our country, they are called immigrants. So immigrants, and this is immigrants. Okay, let me write it again. Immigrants, those who live. Immigrants, those who come. So immigration when a person enters a new country, immigration when a person leaves a country. This is balance of population. We need the birth rate and death rate to be equal, but here the birth rate is higher, death rate is less, so there is a population increase. Here it is other way around, that is the death rate is more than birth rate, so population is decreasing. The general trend of migration is from less developed nation to more developed countries for better employment opportunities and to have a better life. So people generally live, say, if you are living in a village, where will you go? You will go to a city. If you are living in a city, you will go to a metropolitan. If you are in a metropolitan, you will go to a developed country. This is how things work. So patterns of population change, the rate of population growth, it varies across the world. So the total population is rising. Some countries like Kenya, they are having high population growth rate. They have both high birth rate and death rate. Now with improving the healthcare, death rates are lower now, falling, but the birth rate are still high. That is, the birth rates still remain high, leading to high growth rate. If you talk about UK, that is, it is a developed country, population growth is slowing because of both low death and low birth rate. So in UK, birth rate is also low and death rate is also low. We talked about Kenya. So in Kenya both their high birth rate and the death rate are also high. So we have differing rates of population growth. If you see, these blue areas are very high, and then we have the high one. These are the high ones. Mexico is one of them, and these countries which are our neighbors also, Pakistan and then Iran. And then we have moderate. India is moderate, South Africa moderate, and these yellow ones, they are low. And there are certain places, mostly Europe, people are actually decreasing here. Now population composition. If the country is populated, that doesn't mean it is economically developing or developed. Bangladesh and Japan, they are both densely populated. But Japan, if you talk about economic development, Japan is far ahead than Bangladesh. So in order to understand the role of people, we need to know about their qualities. So people vary greatly in terms of age, sex, literacy level, health education, health condition, occupation and income level. So these are the characteristics. So population composition refers to the structure of the population. Here are different people. Some sing song, some is doing research, someone is farmer. So this is the composition. So composition of the population, it helps us to know how many males and females are there. Means how many males and females, what age group, what is the age group, then what type of occupations they have. So you can say employment, income levels and health conditions. So these are the population composition things. So interesting way of studying the population or population composition of a country is by looking at the population pyramid. We also call it as age sex pyramid. So let me show you, this is population pyramid, and this population pyramid is also known as the age sex pyramid. So how does this population pyramid work? See, this is in the x-axis we have percent, 10 to 0 and 0 to beyond. Here is a straight line, you can say, at 0. On the left side, that is 0 to 10, it is male. On right side, which is shown in red, is on the right side it is female. So this is on y-axis we have age group years, say 0 to 4 years. So 0 to 4 years, 9% are male and 9% are female. If you say 40 to 44, or let us take this one, 60 to 64. Say 60 to 64, if you see that we have around 2% of male and 2% female. So this gives you an idea. So population pyramid gives us the total population divided into various age groups that you see on the y-axis. And the percentage of the total population subdivided into this males and females in each of these groups. So this is a diagram, this is a population pyramid. So it shows the number of males and females in a country along with their age. This is male and female, these are the ages. So let us see 3 countries and try to observe what is happening here. So this is the shape of the population pyramid. It tells us about the people living in the particular country. The number of children that is below 15 years or which are shown here in the bottom. They reflect the level of birth. The size of the top, this shows the number of aged people, that is above 65. And this reflects the number of deaths. So this is number of birth and this is number of death. The population pyramid also tells us how many dependents are there. There are 2 age groups which are dependent. Young dependents, that is below 15 years, and elderly dependents, that is over 65 years. And those of the working age, these are economically active. So 0 to 15 dependent, 65 plus dependent, and 15 to 65 you can say it is economically active. So the population pyramid of a country tells us about the birth and death rate. Both, if they are high, is broad at the base, if you see here, and rapidly narrows to the top, if you see here. This is because although many children are born here, large percentage of them die in their infancy, and they don't become adults, and there are very few old people here. So this is shown here in the Kenyan pyramid, population pyramid of Kenya. But in country, if you see here, in this country, this is the population pyramid of India, where death rates, especially among the young, are decreasing. You see this is less. The pyramid is broader in the younger age group. Here it is broader because more infants survive to adulthood. They become elder. So this has been seen in the pyramid of India. So this population contains a relatively large number of young people, which means a strong and expanding labor force. When we see Japan, this is an example of Japan. Low birth rates make the pyramid narrow at the base. This is the narrow at the base. Decreased death rate allow number of people to reach old age. So this is the Japan. So skill-spirited, hopeful young people endowed with positive outlook. These are future of any nation. So we are fortunate enough to be in India, and we want our people to be educated. We need to be provided skills and opportunities to be able to be productive. So this is all about this topic. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself.